go. Here we go. Hey, everything on 3. Number 3. Win on 1. Oh. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win it. I know the next step from that. Eyes on 3. Everything on 3. 1. Everything.
You are now listening to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast. It's your boy, Chaz, and with me, as always, I got Jay Coleman. Jay, what's up, man?
What's up? How's it going?
It's going good. Apologies for the sound issues last week. Jay messed everything up, but it's okay. I figured it out, right, Jay?
Sounds about right.
Well, I'll just be frank with the customers. Jesus Christ, they're not buying anything yet. I had our nice microphone set up, and I never clicked it, so we were using the shitty onboard microphone of the laptop.
I think it's really Adam's fault.
Well, yeah, everything's Adam's fault because, we need somebody to blame.
We didn't have any issues until he joined.
That's very true. That's very true. I want to thank Adam for joining, and Adam will join us again probably at some point. So, coming up on this episode, we're doing the South, the NFC South, the AFC South, the breakdown reviews. Then we only got one more week of these review shows after this with the East. Are you excited for this to come to an end?
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, but you do know, coming up after these are our ranking show, so you really got to be put to work after this.
So that means I actually have to start doing work again?
Yep. So I believe off the top of my head, we're going to do the East next week, and following that, I'm going to need you to get your tight end rankings ready. So we're going to go tight ends, and then QBs, then running backs, and receivers, because those will take a little more time.
All right.
I figure that's where we'll start. And then, all you guys, you have something to look forward to for the next month of fun things. And then, you know what happens after that, Jay? It's our fucking draft. It's coming up quick.
Yeah, it is quick.
It's coming up quick. And then usually, we do our draft. I want to say it's August 28th. I think it's somewhere around there. That week's podcast, when we record it, we're going to draw the draft numbers live on air for the whole squad. Live on air. So
we'll do it live.
We're doing live. So that we'll make sure that the guys are listening and all that stuff. So setting the table. Obviously, there's one big news story we have to talk about, and that would be something that I predicted. I'm pretty sure I predicted it, and that would be your boy, Baker Mayfield, getting traded to the Carolina Panthers. Just first, quick thoughts about that trade.
I think it's probably the best place for Baker to go.
Well, I'm pro Baker. I like Baker. I'm not a hater. A lot of people hate on Baker because he's not Josh Allen. Right? I think that's what it is. Just like Mitch Trubisky isn't Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Right? So
I'm not like a huge Baker guy, but he's got swag and shit, so.
Well, if you think about it, people forget this. Baker won Rookie of the Year. He broke Cam Newton's passing touchdown record his rookie year. So Baker Mayfield has the most passing touchdowns ever as a quarterback, as a rookie, until Herbert broke it. But that was still pretty cool that he did that. He brings the Browns to the playoffs his second year. His third year, he brings the Browns to the AFC Championship game. And then his fourth year, he gets a shoulder injury, toughs through it, and everybody sells him out, and then they trade for a guaranteed contract for a seriously diddler and Deshaun Watson. So, to quote Rodney Dangerfield, I get no respect.
Yeah.
So, I like Baker. I don't think... when it comes to rankings, and it works out because we're actually going to be going over the Panthers today. I don't think Baker's going to be a starting quarterback for fantasy, but you never know.
Yeah.
Think of last year. I know Carson Wentz was starting for people towards the end of the year last year, right? And he's got good weapons. I'm a big fan of DJ Moore. Robbie Anderson has showed flashes. He's got Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So I think he's better for those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And rather than Sam Darnold, because you're better for those guys than Sam Darnold.
Yeah, anyone is.
And then, I remember everybody was being excited last year because the only time Robbie Anderson was ever good was when he had Sam Darnold, but that didn't work out so much. So It's interesting. I wouldn't put Baker Mayfield on anyone's radar, but DJ Moore I think DJ Moore benefits the most because Christian's going to get his.
Yeah.
Anyway, but DJ Moore's always been a pretty damn good receiver, but just kind of like can't get to that next level, and he's like right there. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's all we need to talk about. I mean, am I wrong about this? Do you feel he's going to be start worthy in fantasy or anything?
Probably not. I mean, I don't think you really take a chance on him drafting a guy. I think he's probably someone you wait to see how he's going to do for the first couple of weeks.
You don't think he's going to be someone's backup either? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
If you think about it, well, maybe, because if everyone takes a backup, that's 24 quarterbacks. So that means there's only 8 more. He's not one of the 8th worst in the league.
No, that's true.
So maybe he'll be somebody's backup.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Baker to me, but you know what? If Baker does well, I wouldn't be surprised. Like if you think about it, Sam Darnold threw I think 9 touchdowns last year. I can't even remember. And the year before, they had Teddy Bridgewater, who's trash. So who knows? Baker threw 27 or 28 touchdowns his rookie year. You're supposed to get better, and then he's just been battling injury. So who knows? He's easily got. It's hard to say his best receivers because he had OBJ, but OBJ was just beat up the whole time there.
Yeah.
And DJ Moore's been pretty good. And then, I mean, he's got a dynamic playmaker at running back, obviously.
Yeah, as long as he can stay healthy.
So, and, I know we make fun of Christian McCaffrey for being injured all the time, but 2 years in a row, it sucks. But, maybe he is injury prone, but, you can't just go into the season thinking he's not going to play, right? You have to, at some point, remember that Christian is... Christian McCaffrey, and we'll talk about them more later today, if he stays healthy, he's going to be the best player in fantasy football. But no one's going to take him first overall.
Yeah, right? For sure.
But, I mean, no doubt about it, if he plays 14 games, he's the number 1 player in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Right? So that's your gamble with him. But I don't know. I figure we'll set the table with this Baker Mayfield news. We're going to listen back to make sure we're using the right microphone right now, so we don't sound like we're talking in a closet.
Yeah, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Because he brought those hard lemonades that you wouldn't drink.
Yeah.
Maybe if I let you run the board, we wouldn't have had that problem.
Probably.
Well, good, because I have to, be the talent and be the good-looking one and run the boards here and be better at fantasy football here in this crew.
Which you haven't been in a decade.
It's okay. It's a new era. Trust the process.
Okay. That's what it is.
Process. And we are going to go and take a break and check out our sponsors, and we'll be right back, y'all. And we're back. What some great sponsors. Make sure you check them out, y'all, if he puts them in where he's supposed to, because sometimes he doesn't, I've noticed. But that's on him, not me. So we're going to start with the NFC South reigning defending champions 2 years in a row of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One huge notable loss of Tom Brady. Oh, wait. No, never mind. He's back. He's back. So that's probably good for them.
You just pissed off all the fucking Tom Brady lovers that listen to the show.
He's back, everybody. Guess who's back? And then, you got about 8 weeks retirement coming up of Rob Gronkowski as well.
True.
Until he's back. But notable losses I got on my screen are Alex Cappa at guard, safety Jordan Whitehead, and tight end O.J. Howard. Well, O.J. Howard, where's he?
The Bills, baby.
The Bills, baby! Which, they could probably use O.J. Howard right about now. He's a former top 10 pick, man.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Notable additions I got are guard Shaq Mason. So Alex Cappa at Shaq Mason. I mean, I'm not... offensive line whisperer, but Shaq Mason's been a pretty good player his whole career, so
yeah,
it seems like stable ground there. Cornerback Logan Ryan, I mean, I believe that's a Tom Brady guy right there. Those are 2 Tom Brady guys, I feel.
Yes.
And Russell Gage at receiver. What do you got over there? Am I missing anybody?
They picked up a running back in free agency that's probably not that big of a deal.
Who's that?
Keon Barner.
Yeah, no, not a big deal.
And then they drafted 2 tight ends and another running back.
Yeah, what's the running back that was that White?
Yeah,
Rashad White. Rashad White. He's always somebody to put on your radar just because who's their backup? Giovanni Bernard, he's like 75.
Yeah.
So, he's not, and their starter, Leonard Fournette's not much of a catch. He doesn't catch the ball much. So who knows? Those guys, Tom Brady does like to check it down. The drafting tight ends, I don't trust Tom Brady with rookies. Why don't you go down their starting lineup?
Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Giovanni Bernard, Rashad White, and then wide receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and tight end Cameron Brate. And then at some point, Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, Rob Gronkowski. So when Rob Gronkowski comes back, definitely put him on your team.
Yes, 100%.
I'm not buying into Brate anymore. I thought Brate was going to be good, and then Gronk missed like 5 games last year, and he had like 4 catches in those 5 games.
Yeah.
So he's not the guy. And Joe J. Howard was out for the year. So he's definitely not the guy. Tom Brady, obviously, draft.
Yeah.
Top 5 to top 7, probably, in my book. Leonard Fournette's going in the early second round, early to mid second round in mock drafts I do. So that's probably putting him in the top 10 to 12 running back range. He had a great year last year. Got to talk about the receivers. Mike Evans a stud for years.
Yep.
Rico loves him. Oh, Rico can't stand Mike Evans. That's what that was fun. The problem is Chris Godwin tore his ACL in, I believe, week 15. So he's not going to be around for a while. Yeah. And that's scary. And they also lost somebody else that we don't see here because he lost him in the middle of the season. Remember their third receiver last year?
No.
Antonio Brown?
Oh, yeah.
He's gone too now. So, but he's he chose retirement, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's accurate.
His actions chose retirement. So that doesn't bother me because Brady always makes it work.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could have 6 no-name fucking wide receivers on this list and he's somehow going to make it work.
Mike Evans is already working on a Hall of Fame career. And Chris Godwin's great, but he's out. Russell Gage is a good player. Put him on your
I like Russell Gage.
Yeah, you got to put him on your radar because he's going to be Brady's number 2 for most of the year. A lot of people are going to try to do the whole Scotty Miller thing again, and they've done it every year the last 2 years because he's a slot white guy, so they think he's going to be the next Wes Welker just because of Brady, and it's not working out.
So Rico's going to draft Scotty Miller?
Yeah, probably. It's just not working out. I think Russell Gage is going to be that guy.
Yeah,
that's
100%. Yeah.
So there's just so many options here, and we're not going to rank them yet, but spoiler alert: they're winning the division again.
Oh yeah,
this is a weak division.
Now it's when you talk about great quarterbacks, and you bring up Tom Brady and your favorite quarterback from the Packers, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh boy.
There's 2 big differences. One, fucking Brady makes it work with anyone.
That's true.
And then you got Aaron Rodgers who bitches and cries.
Think about we have talked about as Bills fans in our life that Brady's just a whiner because he complains on the field. Okay, everybody does that. When has Brady ever complained about his team or anything?
Never.
That's what I mean. So, I guess when you grow old, you realize that stuff. Sure, Brady whines about calls and stuff, but so does Patrick Mahomes. It's just, that's what everybody does.
And there's been times where he's had shit for weapons.
And he was still,
still
the man. Yeah, he's definitely a lot of options to go with on this team, and they're going to win the division, and, they have been my Super Bowl pick the last 3 years, and they're my Super Bowl pick again, I think.
Yeah.
In the NFC. They're better than the Rams, I think, as a whole team, and the Rams got the best of them. The Rams beat them in the playoffs last year on a almost Hail Mary pass at the end of the game. So good for them, they did it. But if it wasn't for that pass, Brady would have been hoisting the trophy again last year, right? And this year, I think they're going to run into the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Remember the shootout that those 2 teams had last year in Tampa?
Yeah.
That second half, they were crushing the Bills, and then Josh Allen came out with his ass on fire.
Yeah.
It was great. We went to the overtime and shit, and Rob Gronkowski got a fucking big ass. That's annoying. So, I mean, you gotta love these people on this team. They're just so good. They're just always productive. And Tom Brady, I'm going to warn you folks, he's 45? He's not falling off a cliff.
No. At this rate, he's going to be playing till he's like 70.
I mean, he should have been NFL MVP last year, in my opinion. He had one of the best, obviously it wasn't his 50 touchdown year, but he had one of the best absolute years of his career, at least recent careers. I'm gonna look it up real quick just to show you why, and I've been saying this the whole time.
His passing yards were insane.
Do you have the numbers there?
Yeah, for last year, it's a career high and second time he's led the NFL since 2008. He had 5,316.
Jesus Christ. I'm pulling up the stats here. Tom Brady, 2021 step. Yeah. So he was first in the NFL with 5,316 passing yards. He was also first in the NFL with 43 touchdown passes. And why was he not an NFL MVP? Why was Aaron Rodgers NFL MVP? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, does that make any sense to you?
No.
And I'm pretty sure Rodgers might have had, and his QBR was 68.1, second in the NFL. He only had 12 interceptions. I bet you Aaron Rodgers had less interceptions. I bet you. So I'm going to look it up right now. So Tom Brady had 12 interceptions, and if that's the reason Rodgers won MVP, because it's so stupid. So Aaron Rodgers had 4,115 passing yards, ranked 10th, about 1,000 less than Brady, 37 touchdowns, tied for 4th. So that was 5 less than Brady. Okay, he only had 4 interceptions, so that's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. So how does that make you? I don't know.
Yeah, that's doesn't.
It should have been
big
Brady.
deal. Yeah, big deal. Like less interceptions, but
it should have been Brady.
Brady fucking killed him on passing
and
yards.
And they both made. Yeah, I think they both made it to the second round of the playoffs, and they both lost.
Yeah.
So I mean, it didn't mean anything. And who cares about the wins? The Packers might have one more. So stupid. So sorry for bringing up my boy Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
again. But can you see now why I was so adamant on Brady? That should have been NFL MVP?
Yeah.
So I just felt egregious 2 years in a row because Josh Allen should have been the 2020 NFL MVP.
Yep.
So, I don't know. So we'll just move on. We'll get on to the next one. We won't spend all day talking about the Buccaneers because we're going to go on to the New Orleans Saints. And I've got 4 notable losses, a tackle, and a safety. Not much to get into. Losing a tackle always hurts. And additions, a safety and a safety. But we all know they made some noise in the draft. What do you got there on your list for additions? Anything special?
Andy Dalton.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Jarvis Landry. Your guy, Chris Olave. Kevin White. And some tight end, J.P. Holtz.
Kevin White. Does that say wide receiver?
Yes.
Kevin White.
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Dude, he was a first-round pick for the Bears 10
years ago.
Yeah,
He's
played
right. Yep.
3 games in the NFL.
I do remember him.
It's that guy? Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know that. Okay, so, bringing in Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, and getting a healthy Michael Thomas back, all of a sudden, that could be the best receiving core in the NFL.
Yeah, could be.
It could really be dynamic. It could really push the Bengals for the best receiving core in the NFL. I mean, when Michael Thomas was healthy 2 years ago, he broke all the records for receiving in the NFL that Cooper Kupp broke last year. So, I mean, people forget that Michael Thomas is a beast. And Jarvis Landry's a great slot guy, and we were talking about how Olave has surprised us in our researches.
Yeah.
So, now a lot of people are going to say, well, they don't have Drew Brees anymore. Okay, that's fine, but Drew Brees had a noodle arm the last few years of his career. So, I know people like to make fun of Jameis, but Jameis has got some real good arm talent. He really does. I mean, the guy was first overall pick. The guy led the league in passing yards his last year in Tampa Bay, and the only reason they got rid of him is because they signed Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the better choice at that point. So, Jameis throws a lot of interceptions. That's his issue. Jameis, for me, is not on the starting radar, but Jameis, I value Jameis highly as a backup.
Definitely.
He's definitely one of my top backups. Oh, the cat's making an appearance again.
Yes.
Saying hi to Jay. Don't scratch him. Jameis, I really like as a backup quarterback. We have to talk about, obviously, give us, did she get you?
No, she got stuck.
Give us the lineup. What do they got?
Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton as QBs. Running back Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Dwayne Washington. Wide receivers Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, Traquan Smith. Tight ends Adam Troutman, Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill at tight end. I started him a few games at quarterback last year.
Yeah, I
He
think
was
I
pretty
remember.
good actually because he was running. He was running a lot. Okay, so we have to talk about Alvin Kamara. Possible suspension coming up. They say they're bracing for 6 games. That suspension is one of the most important suspensions because of the Watson suspension. So this dude is going to get 6 games for beating the shit out of an adult male. And then what is Watson going to do for all these? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the NFL has a lot on their plate for this.
Considering the NFLPA argued for no suspension.
Right. So, I mean, it's just... so it's one criminal case of him beating the shit out of a grown-ass man. Okay, fair enough. I mean, maybe it was a jump. People say it was a jump. Who knows? But either way, it's a little bit different than what Deshaun Watson's doing. So you cannot go and give this guy 6 games and give Watson 6 games. You can't.
No.
You just can't. I
mean, it's something they would do.
They can't.
But
They can't.
Yeah.
That's terrible if they do. So I recommend everyone to look at Kamara as being suspended for 6 games. I mean, they said themselves they are bracing for 6 games, and I'm pretty sure last I looked, he doesn't even have court till August. So I mean, it's going to cut close to the season. So he's out of the first round.
Yeah.
I dealt with this personally a couple times in my life with the year that Zeke was getting suspended, and he kind of got in and out. And the year that Le'Veon Bell was holding out, and he ended up holding out the whole year. I drafted him both of those years because I felt I'm good enough to overcome a few games. And it worked for me the one year, and it didn't work for me the other year, because it worked for me the Zeke year because I overcame those few games.
Yeah.
But the Le'Veon Bell, he didn't play the whole year. And that was my first round pick. And when I did Zeke that year, Zeke would have been a first round pick, but I got him in the second. So it was easier. Because it's funny, and I remember this, so that might have been, 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. My first round pick that year was Le'Veon Bell. And then I got Zeke later. So I got a number 1 awesome, great running back. So I felt I was okay to take Zeke and lose that production a couple weeks, and then get it back when he comes in. And I was. And the only way I did that is because I got Zeke's backup at the time, which I believe was Darren McFadden. So I think, if you're going to gamble on Kamara in the second round, you have to get Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
100%. You have to. Or you need to go weaker on receiver, because you're going to have to get another running back in the 4th round. You cannot draft Kamara in the 1st round. You cannot draft Kamara if you drafted a receiver in the 1st round. The only way you could draft Kamara is if you took Najee, McCaffrey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it, in my opinion. And I don't know. You're a little more conservative. I don't know if you'll even do it.
No, probably not. To me, it's not. It's just not worth it.
And that's okay, because Kamara's also showed that he's not as great without Brees, because Brees' noodle arm was checking down to Kamara a lot,
Yeah.
where Jameis doesn't do that as much. So it's not saying he sucks.
No.
So, I mean, I think I would look at Kamara later in the 2nd round. So if I nailed Eckler or Henry or Taylor, maybe McCaffrey, the first 4 or 5 picks, and he came back to me in the 2nd round, I might think of it then. And then just put it in my mind like an injury, like 2 years ago when I drafted Saquon and he tore his ACL the first game. It's just, you have to move on and get better. You look at it that way, you recover, but the guy comes back as opposed to the injury, right?
Yeah.
So that's only if you think you're savvy enough to get through the 6 weeks, then you need to do it in the 2nd round. But he can't be your number 1 running back.
No. For sure not.
And it's just it's a risk. Now, it's the same risk with Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is going late in these drafts, but 2 years ago he was the greatest receiver ever, and he hasn't played for 2 years. Basically, played a little bit in 2020. It's just scary. Like you don't know how healthy he is, and you don't know how he's going to be with Jameis.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. But Jameis can support receivers.
And it's been 2 years, so there's definitely going to be rust there. So, like, it's probably going to be, like, a few weeks before he's even, like, full in the swing of things. And
yeah, it comes down to... It'll come down to how... Now, with Jameis, what am I trying to say? Jameis... We just talked about Mike Evans having a Hall of Fame career almost already. Well, basically his whole career, his quarterback was Jameis until recently. They were drafted a year apart. So, like, Jameis can support a big receiver. You know, he's shown it that he can. So, you'll be silly to sleep on Michael Thomas. You'll be silly to draft Michael Thomas as your first receiver, though.
yeah.
I mean, you're looking mid-rounds. I drafted him last year in a league thinking I'd get him, and I was going to outsmart the field. Same concept. I can overcome it for a few weeks, which I did.
Yeah.
And he never came back. But I got lucky because I drafted Michael Thomas as my receiver 2, and my receiver 3 was Deebo Samuel. So I didn't need him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ended up being fine. But if my receiver 3 was, I don't know, Jarvis Landry, you just got to be good at that. And when it comes to like Jarvis Landry and Chris Olave, I mean, I don't know what to say. I like the talent. I just don't know what the system's going to be like. New coach, all this stuff. I'm excited about Olave, but he's a rookie. I don't know if he's going to just take over right away. I mean, maybe towards the end of the year. I like Jarvis, though.
Yeah.
Especially without Kamara.
Yeah.
Jarvis has had some good years. I mean, what do you think about Jarvis Landry coming into this system, this quarterback?
I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, what we for sure know is Winston's going to sling it all over. Whether he makes those passes or not is another thing.
Someone's going to catch him.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's going to catch him. So, I mean, like, I think this receiving core has, like, good upside, but because...
Depends on Jameis.
Yeah, because you know he's going to be throwing it all over. It's just, is he going to be accurate?
Any thoughts? I mean, I'm always have a slight interest in Taysom Hill because what is he going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's their starting tight end, I mean, the guy is athletic. He's exciting. So if he's going to be a tight end, I mean, there's a chance that he's going to get handoffs. He's going to line up at quarterback once in a while, but maybe not because Sean Payton's gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's someone, I don't know if I'm going to draft him, but I just have that, like, excitement of fantasy football in my head that he's going to be like a gadget player.
Yeah.
And if you're, like, punting on tight ends and not getting a good one and just getting one late, I mean, you could do better, but he would be a good backup candidate.
Yeah.
In that scenario, I
He's
think.
even like, end of the draft kind of guy. Like, you're like, fuck it.
To throw on your team, because if he blows up week 1 with 2
Yeah.
touchdown catches and he runs the ball,
Yeah.
everyone's
It's
going to
like,
be running.
you can add this guy that's like a 5th string fucking guy or Taysom Hill. Like, yeah, you might as well take a chance on Taysom Hill.
And last year, not in Yahoo, in a different format, I remember Taysom Hill was listed as a tight end, not a quarterback. And you can't change positions on the fantasy for the year. So when he played those games at quarterback last year, people could play him at tight end and was getting all those points.
Yeah.
Which quarterbacks get a lot of points, especially ones that run. So people were getting like 30, 35 points for tight end. He was a cheat code last year.
Yeah.
Just like Cordell Patterson was a cheat code last year because he was playing running back, but you could put him in at receiver or vice versa. And they changed him this year too. He's only listed at running back this year.
Yeah.
So and I had a cheat code back in the day with Ty Montgomery. Back in the day from Green Bay. He was the same way. He was listed running back and receiver. So those cheat codes are fun when you can find them.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a league that running backs get so much more points because they get this league gets a lot of points. They get a point for a carry. They get a point for a catch. So running backs average 35 points, and then the receivers are normal. So I could have that year I had Ty Montgomery. I was starting him as a receiver. So I had 2 running backs getting me the 35, 40 points, and he was getting me 30, 35, right? It was just crazy. Cheat code. It was fun that way. The Saints could surprise people this year, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they could be a lot better than they think. I know I have a good friend, Joe, who's a big Saints fan, and we always rag on him, but they got a good team. They got a good defense. They got a great receiving core, good running back, and Jameis is underrated. I've always said that. So just don't be surprised if they I think they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm going to say
I think so, yeah.
So, anything else to say from them?
No.
All right, well, let's move on to the Panthers. We already basically went over the big addition of Baker Mayfield, and we kind of already set the table with them. They're going to be better than they were last year, and I really think Baker's addition makes everybody more valuable. It doesn't mean DJ Moore goes from being my 18th receiver to like my second. No, he goes from like 18th to 15th maybe, but like still an improvement. I'm more interested in DJ Moore right now than I was last week, and I'm more interested in Mccaffery than I was last week. So they got a good young defense. They've got decent. Give me their lineup, Jay, and add Baker because I know he's probably not there for you.
So you got Baker / Sam Darnold.
And Golden Corral. I forgot about Golden Corral.
Yeah, Matt Corral. Running back, you got McCaffrey, your guy Chubba Hubbard, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Rashad Higgins, and then tight end Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas.
Yeah, I don't care about the tight ends.
No.
I'm pretty sure Rashad Higgins, that was an old Cleveland guy, so maybe a little connection with Baker there.
Yeah, I believe
Something to think about. Robbie Anderson's a late guy you got to think about late. No, you do. You just got to think about him in the later rounds. DJ Moore, I mean, people sleep on this guy. He's a top 15 receiver, I think. I haven't done my rankings. We'll do those in about a month. But, I mean, that guy puts up so many yards. He just doesn't score touchdowns. You know why he doesn't score touchdowns? Because the Panthers don't score touchdowns.
Yeah.
But they might do that better now. So, we talked about Baker. So, we haven't really got into C-Mac. We got to talk about run CMC. I mentioned it earlier. He could easily lead the league in fantasy football points.
100%.
But on the other hand, he could
not play at all.
Well, I wouldn't say at all. But yeah, good. Well, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. He could hurt himself in training camp or something. You have to be afraid of the injuries, but don't let it consume you because you'll miss out on a good player.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there at, 5 or 6 overall, he's still there, and you take Joe Mixon instead, you're crazy.
You should be kicked off fantasy football if you do that.
Because some people are going to think about that.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there 5, 6 overall and you take Najee Harris, I think you're crazy at that point.
Yeah.
I understand taking Taylor because of it. I understand taking Eckler because he's been healthy in the catches. I understand taking King Henry. But off the top of my head, I might put CMC as my third running back. So, I'm going to put him above Eckler just because they're similar and we've seen that Christian can do more. And just because he hasn't been hurt yet doesn't mean Eckler wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So, it's just like you can't live in that fear. And if you're going what you're going to get from Henry, you know what you're going to get from Taylor. Everything else is kind of up in the air. I think there's complete tiers. I think those two are the easy ones. And then the next group of running backs are right there.
Yeah.
And I think Christian's at the top of it. And that's not where I was a month ago. But the more I just think about it, you can't pass that up. And if he fucks you over again,
yeah,
be better at fantasy football and overcome it. You just have to.
I think this team's going to be different too as Baker because Baker's going to bring in that swagger. He's going to bring in that attitude. And that's definitely going to help the team. Because it definitely helped Cleveland.
Yeah.
Being that cocky fucking, just the way he is going to make the team better.
Before they drafted Baker, in the last 2 years before they drafted Baker, first overall, and the year before they picked Myles Garrett first overall. So in those 2 years, because obviously they finished last, they were 1-31.
Yeah.
And he comes in and becomes rookie of the year and breaks all the records. So the guy's very slept on. And he might not be the greatest fantasy football quarterback, but you're right. The swagger and how the team, can react around him, and he's a leader. I feel
they're gonna have fun playing for him because of the way he is and everything. So,
and they don't have to play for Sam Darnold anymore either.
That's true.
I don't think Cam's a part of this team anymore. So
no.
Good. He's gone. It was cool to see him back there last year.
Yeah,
I'm always pro.
He's fucking trash though.
Oh my god, get out of here.
He's trash.
Cam changed the NFL. If it wasn't for Cam coming
There's
in...
no quarterback that had a faster fall off a cliff than Cam Newton.
Yeah, but it wasn't right away. I mean, the guy won Rookie of the Year in 2011, won NFL MVP in 2015, and then started going downhill about 2017, 2018.
Which is pretty quick.
6, 7 years?
It's still pretty quick.
I guess. I mean, yeah.
For a guy that had way more potential and, was doing that good and everything.
I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Cam Newton, there'd be no Josh Allen right now.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
the prototype. The big dude, the big arm, the runner. Like, Josh Allen, just because he runs, he's not Michael Vick. Michael Vick was 6 foot, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Cam Newton, 6'5", 240. And at the same token, if it wasn't for Big Ben, there wouldn't be Cam Newton. Those are like the stepping stones to where you got now with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, Trey Lance, these big dudes that can take hits and throw the ball down the field. So I don't know why we're talking about Cam Newton so much, but I like Cam Newton. I talked about DJ Moore. What are your feelings on DJ Moore?
You gotta have him on the team.
Yeah, he's not sexy
Yeah.
when you get him, but he's just fine. He's just always there.
Yeah.
He's always good, and he just needs to level up.
Are you saying he's like the Joe Mixon of wide receivers?
Yeah, very true. He could very well be.
He's not flashy or exciting,
But he is, but he just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a flashy, exciting player. I mean, he's fast. I mean, he can catch the ball.
exciting
big
fantasy
body.
wise. He's
Yeah.
not you like
'Cause
you're
he
not
doesn't-
like
he doesn't get a lot of
ooh
touchdowns.
DJ Moore.
But maybe he will be. Maybe he will get a lot of touchdowns this year. Their defense, though, I like their defense, but they're not on the radar. They're good, but I don't know. We don't talk about defense this year.
What's defense?
Speaking of what's defense, let's move on to the Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, an easy candidate to be picking first overall next year.
You think?
Notable losses: Matt Ryan, who's been all right in his NFL career, just obviously a Hall of Famer, former NFL MVP. Russell Gage, they lost. They lost tight end Hayden Hurst, edge rusher Dante Fowler. Okay, that's a lot of people. Their running back situation, they did not really address. They got somebody in the draft, but they brought in Marcus Mariota, Casey Hayward, Damian Williams, and Elijah Wilkerson. So, all right, Matt Ryan's gone. Marcus Mariota. Why don't you run down the starting lineup? Sorry.
They also so you got Marcus Mariota as QB. Your running backs are Cordell Patterson, Damian Williams. Wide receivers Drake London, Auden Tate. Exactly. Demir Bird, Brian Edwards, tight end Kyle Pitts, and Anthony Ferkser.
Okay, so, and then who's their backup? I believe they drafted a rookie, Desmond Ridder, right? Is that our quarterback? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, Desmond Ridder. He was like a 3rd, 4th round pick. Okay, so, I used to be but I was pro Mariota back in the day. Mariota, people forget about Mariota. Mariota is a Heisman Trophy winner. He was a 2nd overall draft pick. He was playing in Tennessee and wasn't great. But they're more of a conservative kind of pound the ball team. So when they got Tannehill, who could be more of a game manager, Tannehill basically ousted him out of the league, off of the team. Okay, fine. Mariota doesn't have the greatest arm, so it's tough. But Mariota's an electric runner, and he can make plays happen. So Mariota's one that I value as a backup in fantasy football. He could be a spot starter because we already talked about that. This, other than the Bucs, this division's garbage.
Yeah.
So the Saints are good too. So it's just these two teams at the bottom. So at least he gets 2 teams against Carolina, right? But Mariota's better than people give credit for. He's reunited with Arthur Smith, who was his coach in Tennessee too, so he knows him.
But this lineup is trash. So
Okay, yes, but you don't expect him to make receivers and stuff like that. So, I believe when he was over in Tennessee, his best option was Delaney Walker, the tight end. Well, now he's got a physical freak monster at tight end. That doesn't make me fall in love with Kyle Pitts, but it doesn't make me hate him now that Matt Ryan's gone either.
yeah. Well,
And
he's the only guy.
Well,
because their number 1 wide receiver is a rookie.
But we've talked about our love for Drake London.
Yeah.
but I just don't think they're going to be good. So Cordell Patterson last year was, I told you, like a cheat code, and I loved him, and he was great for me. Totally fell off towards the end of the year. I mean, the guy's in his 30s already, and has had one productive season his whole life.
Yeah, he's not a number one running back.
No, he's not a number two running back. He's a maybe flex or a bench guy right now. He is, especially now that you can't cheat code him. You know, Drake London, again, we love the talent, but I just don't trust him with. You have to have really good value on Drake London to get him. He's probably going the number one like receiver, rookie receiver, but I'm going to take Olave ahead of him.
Yeah,
just because of the comfort there. And then, I mean, if he's sitting there at a good value, I'll take him, but he's not going to be on my team. People are going to overdraft him.
Oh, for sure.
So he's not going to be on my team. And Kyle Pitts ain't going to be on my team because people are already overdrafting him.
Yeah.
People are taking Kyle Pitts in the early third round.
That's crazy.
No, just no way.
I mean, also, like, teams are going to see this fucking trash lineup, and then they're going to be like, all right, we're just double teaming Pitts, and
right.
They're going to force this gross wide receiver core besides Drake London to actually do something.
And Kyle Pitts last year had, and it's hard to believe, but he only had one more touchdown than you last year.
Wow, that's
and
impressive.
He played the whole season. I mean, that's not great. And that was with Matt Ryan. Right? So, like, it's... I don't dislike Kyle Pitts. I know he's a freak, but, like, show me something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, you had a lot of yards, but, like, tight ends rely on touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, Hunter Henry was a more viable starting tight end last year than Kyle Pitts. So, I can't take him third overall. Y'all are crazy for taking him third overall at tight end. It's going, you know, the mock drafts I see, it's going Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts right after. Not Waller, not Kittle, not Hawkinson. No.
Kittle pisses me off, and I'd still take Kittle over Kyle Pitts.
You have to.
So
you have to. This team's gross.
Yeah, that's what I said, and you gave me a look.
I mean, we were picking on the Browns. This team could pick first overall. The Browns.
It's the Browns.
The Browns have a better running back, at least.
Yes.
So,
but they're the Browns.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be basically these two teams are going to be fighting for who's last.
But remember, Jay, they're not going to pick first overall because they traded all their picks away.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So the Texans could pick first overall because they're going to suck, and they have the Browns' first round pick.
Yeah.
So they have a double chance right there. We'll talk about the Texans in a minute. Anything else you want to say about the Atlanta Falcons?
No.
All right. Well, then we are going to head over to the AFC South. And we are going to talk about those Houston Texans who could very well be picking first overall, as we said. So what do you got, Jay, as key additions?
QB Kyle Allen.
Blech.
That's the most. Like,
do you got any running back additions on your page there?
Yeah, Marlon Mack.
It's a good one. You never know. What about who else?
Damien Pierce.
Okay, that was a rookie. Is there another one?
Yes.
Who is it?
I'm not even going to try and say his name.
Dare Agunbowale. Okay.
That guy.
So Damien Pierce, right? Is that his name?
Yes.
Draft pick. You never know. I mean, they don't have. I mean, read down their starting lineup. Actually, sorry.
Davis Mills and Kyle Allen as QBs. Their first listed running back is Damien Pierce, followed by Marlon Mack and Royce Freeman.
Does it say David Johnson? No, he's gone. I think David Johnson's gone.
Yeah. Wide receivers: Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, John Mechie, Chris Moore, Philip Dorsett. Tight end Pharaoh Brown.
Okay, so it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross. So Davis Mills, I'm not buying him. But one thing people don't realize about Davis Mills, and I don't know if you know this, Davis Mills, coming out of high school, was the #1 high school quarterback recruit. So the guy's got talent, at least. That doesn't mean much. I mean, he did pretty good last year for them. He wasn't disgusting.
Yeah.
Right? He was fine. But he's their starter. Who knows? Running backs don't draft anybody. Because even if Damien Pierce... I mean, okay, if you're going to take a gamble late, it's got to be on the rookie Damien Pierce.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
They only had 1,400 rushing yards last season, the fewest. And they've
David
only
Johnson.
had one rusher over 1,000 yards in the past 5 years.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it wasn't David Johnson.
No.
Let me see. What did it be in 5 years?
Yeah.
Christ, was it? What team is this? Houston Texans. Wow, the only one it couldn't be. The only one I think of was Lamar Miller.
Yeah, that's all I can think of.
Wow, that's crazy.
But
I can't think of anybody.
If
I don't know. Okay, so obviously they lost a lot. They lost Deshaun Watson. Good riddance. They lost Tyrod Taylor. I don't know. There's just, I think the only person on this whole, there's not much to talk about. Damien Pierce, possibly. Don't sleep on Marlon Mack. I mean, they went out and signed him. Marlon Mack was a second-round pick for the Colts who showed some flashes, but you just don't know coming back. And just the team's ugly. The only guy worth rostering is Brandon Cooks.
yeah.
I mean, I had him last year. He was really good. For a while there, he was like a top 7 receiver. So, I mean, Brandon Cooks, roster him, make him your second receiver, your third receiver, something like that. He needs to be rostered. Just nobody else.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I can't buy any of it. I don't even want to talk about it. You know what? Maybe their kicker's good.
Probably not.
I don't know. Let's just move on. Sorry, Texans fans. This is your team's fault, not ours. We're going to move on to the Indianapolis Colts. Key additions. They got Yannick Ngakoue from the Raiders, a pass rusher. Their key departures is they lost Carson Wentz and they added Matt Ryan. Is this an upgrade, a lateral move, a downgrade?
Upgrade.
You think it's an upgrade?
Yeah. They also got your guy, Nick Foles.
They did?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. It doesn't matter. It's an upgrade, but it's close to a lateral move. Carson Wentz is another guy who gets too much shit than he deserves. He's not the worst quarterback in the world, but people will make you think he is. This team was one win away from the playoffs last year with Carson Wentz. But Matt Ryan's an upgrade, but you traded away a 28-year-old receiver for a 36-year-old receiver. Or, sorry, quarterback. A 28-year-old quarterback for a 36-year-old quarterback. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
It's win now.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's their roster?
Matt Ryan, then running backs, you got JT. Hines behind him. Wide receivers, you got Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Alec Pierce, and tight ends, you got Mo Alley Cox.
Okay. So, Matt Ryan's another guy that's on my backup radar, but not a starter. And obviously, Jonathan Taylor's probably going number 1 overall in your draft.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's obvious because he totes the rock. He's dependable. He doesn't get hurt, but you never know, right? I think bringing in Matt Ryan's a good thing for him because it's going to open the passing game more because you don't want to get Matt Ryan an open receiver because he's going to hit him.
Yeah.
He's not going to panic like Carson Wentz sometimes, right? So as long as you can protect Matt Ryan, this might be the best offensive line Matt Ryan's ever had.
Yeah.
Right? And this might be the best defense Matt Ryan's ever had. There's a good defense on this team. So even though he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, there's not much to talk about Jonathan Taylor because 90% of you aren't going to have him.
Exactly.
Because he's going first overall.
He had 550 more rush yards than the second place rusher last year.
He was great.
Fucking crazy.
He really was great. He doesn't catch the ball much, but he does a little. So there's just no...
He might catch more, too, with Ryan, because he's probably... I mean, he's older, so he's not going to be slinging, you know.
And Ryan can process things better than Wentz. Always. Not just because he's older. That's who Ryan is. He's a cerebral guy.
Yeah.
Where Wentz is a more like, I can get out of this and launch it down the field kind of thing. So Michael Pittman is somebody who's very debated in fantasy circles. You either love him or hate him. And where do you stand on him?
I don't really.
You never had him?
No, I've never had him. So.
He's got great size. He's got great pedigree. His dad was an NFL player. This guy was an early second-round pick. That draft, I'm pretty sure they got Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor like 2 picks apart. And
yeah,
that's their
I think so.
bread and butter right now. So great drafting by them. Their defense is great. Michael Pittman, he's going a lot higher than I'm comfortable with. Like people got Michael Pittman going like I don't know, 8th receiver, 9th receiver. That's just, I feel that's too high. Like after like early 3rd round, late 2nd round, that's just too high. I can't see myself putting him on my team. And I know, but it's exciting because you never seen him with somebody like Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
So what a quarterback carousel this team has had. Peyton Manning for 42 years. Then the year he's hurt, they draft Andrew Luck, who's fantastic and retires young. Right? And then they go, I think, to Jacoby Brissett or something. Blah, 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 right? And they go through all this. And then they trade for Phillip Rivers, make the playoffs. He retires. Trade for Carson Wentz, does whatever, gets traded away. Trade for Matt Ryan. So here's my thought. In 3 years, Aaron Rodgers will be on the Indianapolis Colts. They'll have no draft picks. They'll have no draft picks. They keep trading away draft picks to get. They traded away like 2 seconds to get Wentz, and then traded him for a 5th.
It's crazy.
So what do you have to say about this team? Because there's some good.
Yeah,
I think
there's not much there's not much to say because Jonathan Taylor is the guy, but most people aren't going to have him because he's going to. Probably 98% of the leagues he's going first.
Yeah. And I think Pittman's overrated.
Yeah.
And then Taylor's backup though. Who's that? Naheem Hines. That's a guy to keep your eye on. He catches a lot of passes.
And behind him, you got Phillip Lindsay now too.
I didn't even know that.
So
you had a thing for Phillip Lindsay back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think Matt Ryan slept on a little, but I'm not jumping backflips. You know what you got from this team, and that's actually comfort.
Yeah.
To not worry about. And tight end, I'm not worried about. So we'll move on to the team I forgot about. I was having a conversation with Chad at work, and I told him, I'm like, we're going over the AFC South. He's like, who are they? I'm like, it's the Texans and the Colts and the Titans and I can't remember some team. And of course, because it's the fucking bottom of the barrel grossness of the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who struck out with drafting Aiden Hutchinson.
Big mess.
Blew it. And I know the season hasn't even started. So last year, they go and take the blonde bomber first, Trevor Lawrence. Fine. Jury's out on him. He had one rookie year that was bad, but he was also coached by Urban Meyer. So you can't hold anything against that.
No.
Against him. And Urban Meyer. The worst run franchise, the worst owners in sports. I've said this a million times. Okay. So key additions. The first one on the list for me, Christian Kirk from the Cardinals. They gave him one of the richest receiver signings of all time, which caused all these receivers to want more money, and that's where all this trade happened because of fucking Christian Kirk, who's not going to live up to this contract whatsoever.
Not even close.
Not even close. Zay Jones, they signed. Evan Ingram. This is like the land of misfit toys. And they gave these players a lot of money. A lot of money. Re-signings, they re-signed Laquan Treadwell. Laquan Treadwell is a first-round bust from the Vikings from 10 years ago. They're just making horrible moves. Moves.
They drafted a running back with a cool name.
Who's that?
Snoop Connor.
Oh, yeah, Snoop. Well, give us their lineup.
Trevor Lawrence, running back James Robinson, Travis Etienne, wide receivers Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Chenault, tight end Evan Ingram, Dan Arnold.
So if you like Laviska Chenault, everybody, and you put him on your fantasy team, your team name could be you Chenault Pass. See what
I see what you did there.
I like Laviska Chenault. That dude's like Deebo Samuel, but he's on the fucking Jaguars.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. James Conner hurt himself late in the season. James Robinson hurt himself late in the season, and he was great, but you're not going to get him till halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So that's making Travis Etienne's value go up. And he was a first-round pick for them last year. Didn't play the whole year because he hurt himself in training camp. But he's a very exciting player. I was looking for the Bills to draft him last year, but the Bills drafted kind of him this year because he's similar to James Cook. He's that kind of running back.
So where are you putting him on your list of running backs?
I don't know. He's going to go too high for me now.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go I don't know. I haven't done my breakdowns yet, but like I would take him, but it has to be at the right spot. Like depending on who's around him.
Is he top 10?
No, God no.
Top 20?
He might be right after. He might be right after 20.
Also, if you draft him, you have to draft James Robinson.
I think so, yeah.
So-
But here's the thing: you said he's top 20. There's 32 teams in the NFL, and this guy plays for the worst team in the NFL. So it's like it's scary.
Yeah.
And what makes him better than scary is he catches, and this team's going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
And usually when you're losing, you're behind. You throw the ball a lot. Now, I'm excited to see Trevor Lawrence this year. He's not on my radar, even as a backup, because he's got to prove himself to me. But this guy was the highest rated quarterback coming out of college since Andrew Luck. And before Andrew Luck, it was John Elway. Like, those are the top 3 rated quarterbacks coming out of college of all time. So, I mean, those are 2 bangers ahead of him. And he's right there, right? So, the guy's obviously got skill and talent. I just don't think the offense let him. Now, new coach, Doug Peterson, the offensive guy. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl with fucking Nick Foles. And had Carson Wentz almost MVP that year.
Yeah.
Right? So, maybe I should reevaluate the Blonde Bomber and think of him as a backup.
Yeah. This team's still kind of... Ugh.
But the more I think about it now, I like ETN more because, like, these receivers are trash.
Yeah.
Marvin Jones is a solid, veteran presence. And I like Laviska Shenault. They're just not using him the right way.
Well, especially now that they got Zay Jones.
What a waste of money. And not Zay Jones, but on Christian Kirk. Like, I can't. Who knows? You know what? Maybe Trevor Lawrence just fucking comes out and tears it up. All these new, weapons and new coach and ETN's healthy, but show me something first. But I think easily the first person drafted on this team is ETN.
Yeah.
And
there's really no one worth drafting besides that.
I think I put ETN wherever I value, like, I don't even know, man. Wherever I value maybe like Brees Hall, the rookie.
Yeah.
Maybe just after like Josh Jacobs, like 3rd, 4th round. I don't know. He's just one of those guys, I've said it before. He can't be my number 1.
Yeah.
He can't.
Can he be your number 2?
Or
is he your number 3?
I'd be more comfortable at 3, but if he's my number 2, I'm not going to like freak out.
And you're only going to have him probably for half the...
But
maybe.
He'll still have a role.
Yeah.
So it's not like it goes away. So, but you're right. James Robinson needs to be on your team too at some point then.
Yeah.
And I think you need to draft James Robinson still, even though he's not going to play.
Yeah.
You got to draft him late at some point. And the defense, forget about it. And
what defense?
And maybe their kicker, because he probably kicks a lot of field goals because this team sucks.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll surprise me, but I don't trust him. But they totally missed on the draft this year. Aiden Hutchinson could have helped revitalize that defense. They got the best quarterback prospect in years, and they could have got Aiden Hutchinson was the best defensive prospect in years. They could have got both of them.
Could have.
And they struck out.
They
struck out.
They do Jaguars things.
Jag things. All right, we're going to go to the defending AFC South champions, a team that I saw in person break my heart, the Tennessee Titans. They have lost Roger Saffold. He went to the Buffalo Bills. Deontay Foreman, Kyrie, the Blessing game, and Julio Jones, who they, other than one big catch against Buffalo, didn't do jack squat.
Yeah, Anthony Ferguson to A.J. Brown.
Yeah, they lost A.J. Brown. That was a big one that trade night. So they brought in Robert Woods, who's a very underrated receiver. I know he's, not sexy at all, but he's a very underrated receiver. He's better than Julio right now. So it's already an upgrade.
Yeah.
He's better than Julio right now. It's already an upgrade. They brought in a tight end, Austin Hooper, who is an upgrade. I mean, he's a decent tight end. They brought him in. They also brought in the rookie. Drawing a blank on his name there. Give me the lineup.
Ryan Tannehill, King Henry.
Right, or Ryan Tannehill,
or
who's the backup?
Malik Willis.
Who is the first quarterback taken this year, or the second quarterback taken this year in the 3rd round. Still think it's going to be Tannehill.
Yeah,
but you got to throw Willis out there.
King Henry.
And who's backing Henry up this year?
Hassan Haskins.
Who I called as a sleeper this year, y'all.
True. Wide receivers, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks.
I was drawing a blank on his name.
Des Fitzpatrick. And then Austin Hooper.
Okay, so Hooper is someone to keep in mind as a backup tight end. Tannehill or Willis, nah. Tannehill was so efficient his first 2 years. I thought he was going to be great last year. He wasn't. He hurt me last year. Robert Woods coming off an ACL injury a little earlier in the season, though. So he'll be out there. The rookie receiver, Treylon Burks, is having a hard time playing. He's having a hard time getting on the field, having a hard time breathing, asthma. Who knows?
Allegedly. They haven't really said what it is yet.
Remember all the offseason last year about Jamar Chase and dropping passes?
Yeah.
And how did that work out? Right? So I don't want to say that this is not a one-player team, but, I mean, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is, other than Josh Allen, I've mentioned this before, my favorite player to watch in the NFL. Derrick Henry is someone I've never been able to have on my fantasy team. Derrick Henry is, and I'd like to put this in perspective for people. You think of a running back, you think of Christian McCaffrey. I'm actually gonna look him up real quick. Christian McCaffrey, because I want to put this into perspective about people, about how truly massive Derrick Henry is. So I'm typing into Google Christian. Let me spell it right. Christian McCaffrey. Okay. So we are just going to look at Christian McCaffrey's height and weight. Okay. Christian McCaffrey was born June 7th, 1996. I almost said happy birthday, but that was last month. So he's 26 years old. Okay. His height is 5'11". Okay. And his weight is 205 pounds. And that's about your standard running back nowadays.
Yeah, most running backs, are like, what, 5'9" to 5'11"?
5'11", 205 pounds. Okay? Are you ready to hear Mr. Derrick Henry? 6'3", 247 pounds. With a 4.5 40-yard dash.
Insane.
In-fucking-sane. Y'all, okay, and he's a little older. He's 28. Okay, but I mean, he's Derrick Henry. He didn't play his first 2 years. He was a backup almost, okay? Here's the thing about Derrick Henry, dude. He is the size of fucking Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
He's a running back of the NFL. So that should just I want Derrick Henry on my team so bad that just to have him at least 1 year. A lot of people say running backs fall off at the age 27 season. Well, last year he was 27 and he was the best running back in the league, but then he got hurt.
Yeah.
So maybe that's true. But I love him so much that I would very well consider taking Derrick Henry first overall. Just so I can have him on my team once. I know that's crazy talk.
It is crazy talk.
But is it?
Yes.
If he didn't get hurt last year, he would have wiped the floor with Jonathan Taylor. He would have. So, and he rested, you know what I'm saying? So, oh my God. Just King Henry to me, he is easily my number 2 running back. He literally might be my number 1. I might consider taking him first overall. And that's just me. But other than that, I would easily take him second overall.
Yeah.
How do you feel on him? Top of your head.
I mean, he's...
so you're not taking him first? Are you taking him second?
I'm taking him second.
Are you?
Yeah.
So that's, nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are taking Eckler second, or maybe CMC, or maybe Cook, but yeah, put Henry before all those guys.
Yeah, especially, we know what this team is. It's fucking King Henry.
His team.
Yeah.
He's going to win the rushing title again this year if he stays healthy. He's going to have the most yards. He's going to wipe the floor with yards with Taylor. How could you not take him first? I understand that Taylor's younger and Henry's coming off an injury. But if Henry did not get injury, there'd be no doubt about it. Derrick Henry's number 1 running back this year.
Yeah.
But that's the game you play.
Yeah.
That's fantasy football, right? Do you have anything to say about your boy Robert Woods?
No.
So he's not going to be on your team?
No.
I think he's going to be on a couple of my teams because everyone's sleeping on him, and you're going to get him in the 9th or 10th round. And Robert Woods had a long, steady history of finishing top 14, 13 receiver with shitty Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Right?
He's boring.
Yeah, he is boring. You're right. But he's coming off an injury, and he's older. He's almost, I think this is probably his 10th season. I think he was drafted in 2013 by the
I think
Buffalo Bills.
I'd rather have Treylon Burks on my team than
No,
Woods.
I can't do it. I'm not big on rookie receivers ever.
Yeah, I know,
It's
but
tough for me, man.
it's a game you play.
I know. It's tough for me. Treylon Burks, I don't know. What a downgrade losing A.J. Brown to Treylon Burks.
Yeah,
Maybe not,
you
right?
think?
You maybe not.
I don't know.
Treylon Burks is a first-round rookie receiver. A.J. Brown wasn't. A.J. Brown was a second-round receiver. So who knows? But losing A.J. Brown, who's a monster. I mean, he's the Derrick Henry of receivers. Him and DK.
Especially like you need that team. Kind of needs that combination. It works for them because like you're either like playing for Derrick Henry or you're gonna double team A.J. Brown. Now they don't really.
Well, that's why Julio was a big deal.
Yeah.
Bringing in, and that game against Buffalo last year, Julio torched us a couple times. But Derrick Henry fucking torched
so
us.
now I think, at least for the start of the year, until teams see what you're going to do, but it's basically teams are just going to be like, we're playing the rush and we're going to force you to make plays in the air.
Which, could lead to, I was saying, don't forget about Austin Hooper. I mean, that guy signed a big deal to be in Cleveland back then. Like he was a good athletic tight end, and maybe he has a little rebirth here in Tennessee. So I'm excited for these to be over soon. These breakdowns. I mean, this is obviously filler because there's not much going on.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're gonna get into we got the reason obviously we picked the AFC East last is because we're gonna have a million things to say about the Bills and everybody and shitting on the Cowboys and
fuck the Cowboys
and all that stuff. So next week is the NFC East, the AFC East, and then we're rolling into our tight end preview, quarterback preview, running back preview, receiver preview. So start figuring out. Give me your list. For tight ends, we'll go like 15. For quarterbacks, we'll go like 20. But then the other two are going to have to be pretty. We're going to have. I mean, we're going to have to burn through them.
Yeah.
Maybe 25. You know what I mean? Maybe. So we'll do like tight ends like 15, quarterbacks like 20, and then the other two maybe 30. Just because there's so many going to be drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you got 3 on a team, that's 36, and there's going to be more than 3 running backs and receivers on every team. So, but we're not that nerdy. We're not going to give you like a top, 60 receiver. We'll get you 30.
Yeah.
And tight ends like 15 because you get your 12 starters and then maybe a couple of floaters.
And honestly, like after like 6, it's
but that's
cares?
why it's more important.
Yeah, I know.
Those later picks are more important.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I look at other people's rankings, other professional rankings, it's not like I just follow them, but it's nice to like see and like sometimes it's nice to be like, I'm high on this guy, this guy's high on him too.
Yeah.
So I'm not crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the only one, or I'm low on this guy and so is he, right? So like that's kind of where rankings are for me. And they're, and I've mentioned this before, they're breathable. So like I said, I might put Jonathan Taylor number 1 in my rankings, but I might draft Derrick Henry first just because I want him.
Yeah.
Or like, for instance, last year I was in 3 leagues. I took Travis Kelce in 2 of my 3 leagues. So that 3rd league, I did not take him and I had the chance just because I didn't want to invest that in all 3 leagues. Probably should have.
Probably.
Great, right? But like, sometimes you go off the grid and and that's okay. And
plus it's like, there's 2 players and they're both arguably just as good, but you've had one guy before and you've had really good success. You're probably going to go with that guy again.
Right. And you know what also like sways me sometimes is like quarterback or receiver. So if like I have the receiver and I'm deciding between 2 quarterbacks, I might take the other quarterback because I have his receiver. Yeah. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's these 2 receivers, but I have the quarterback, so maybe I'll get that connection.
Yeah.
That's nice to have sometimes.
Definitely.
So they're fluid, man. It's nice to make your own rankings. And I always recommend to people, make your own rankings. Go off of other professionals. If you don't think we're professional, you don't want to go off of mine, that's fine. Go off of the Yahoo guys. Go off of the CBS guys. That's great. But make your own. Because it's okay. Put your flavor into it because that's how you win fantasy football. If you got a guy and you call that guy and you draft him, don't go insane. Like, it's not... I remember a couple of years ago with Chad in our league, he had a big feeling on Will Fuller, and he went and took Will Fuller in the 3rd round when he was probably going like 7th and 8th round. Will Fuller did great. But the thing is you don't take him in the 3rd round. If he's going 7 or 8, then you take him in the 6th.
Yeah.
Right? Like you gotta know, you gotta feel your players out, know who you like, but kind of also know where these players are going.
Yeah.
So you can make that call. So if you like a guy in the 9th, then you take him in the 8th.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's my best advice to people out there when it comes to rankings. So just because we're doing our rankings in a couple of weeks, do yours too at home. Like do it. Like I've been doing it that way for years.
Yeah.
You guys, even in my leagues, you see me. I have my rankings and I have a sheet of other rankings.
Yeah. Same with me.
It's just nice.
Yeah.
And I have seriously one time in my draft, I wish I remember the player. It wasn't anyone super significant, but I totally remember being in my 3 leagues. Oh, the cops are coming. Here they come. I remember being in my 3 leagues and I made my rankings, right? And I forgot somebody on my rankings. And all 3 drafts, I forgot the guy. And every time the guy was drafted, I was like, oh, because I didn't write him on my list. So it's nice to also have another list because you might, cross-reference and then sometimes I have my rankings and I look at somebody else's and I don't know between these 2 players. And maybe this guy that I like following who thinks similar to me has the one guy much higher. And then it kind of helps me make that decision. That's how I do my rankings. I'll go in, say, Dave Richard from CBS Sports, one of my favorite fantasy guys. Great podcast. One of the reasons I'm doing the podcast is the CBS Sports podcast. I've been listening to those guys forever. I'll look at his rankings and I don't copy them word for word. Maybe we're perfect, but it's never like that.
Yeah.
I look at his rankings and I kind of reorder it. And that's it. I kind of look and I'm like, okay, he's got, I don't know. He's got Kyler Murray at 3. Nah, brah. Out of there, right? And I make my own. How do you do yours?
It's similar. I'll print up a couple different, CBS or ESPN, and then I kind of look at them, and then I'll take into account the depth chart and who's their quarterbacks or this or that, and then I kind of make up a small thing of where I'm ranking certain players. I try and do it closer to when we draft so that I know where I'm picking, so that I can be okay, these block of players are probably going to be where I'm picking. Here's how I'm going to rank those players, because they're probably going to be I'm not going to rank if I'm picking 8th, I'm not ranking fucking,
But it's still okay to rank that because if you're picking 8th and somehow Austin Eckler's still there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'll always do 1 or 2 oddball guys. I would really like to have this guy if he falls to me. I'll do that and kind of have a little thing, but.
Right. And I know it sounds weird that I know a lot of, people in our league listen to this. And at first I was like, should I even do this? Because they're going to hear my rankings and know how I like players. But it's fun to be competitive. And like I said, it's fluid too. Because sometimes I might here's another way it's fluid. I might be eyeballing Tom Brady. He's my quarterback. He's the one I'm taking, right? And then he's on the board when I get there, and I realize he has the same bye as 5 other guys on my roster.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to make a pivot.
Yeah,
because bye weeks come into play.
Yep.
On that stuff too. So it's okay to go off your rankings a little bit too. You're going to have to at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Well, that's going to be it for this episode, y'all. We're coming back with the AFC and the NFC East. And that's going to be a long show because we're going to talk the Bills and shit talk the Patriots and the Giants.
For sure.
And the Cowboys. It's going to be a fun episode. The song of the week is going to be a song that just got released. It's from my band called Under the Black, and this is a brand new song that we just recorded. We call it a pre-production demo. It's not completely done. I mean, it's edited and all that stuff, but we're going to still re-record it. We just have been trying to get something out there, and it's hard. So I know you've heard it. I hope you liked it.
Yeah, I recommend everyone go check it out.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have to check it out right now because this is our brand new song from Under the Black. The song is called Buried Alive. So thank you, everyone, for stopping in on the Fantasy Football Bros podcast, episode 6. Right?
I believe so.
It's episode 6. All right. It's your boy Chaz. I'm glad you guys could make it.
I'm your guy, Jay.
And we will see you next week, y'all. Peace.